What's up, everybody? This is Next on Deck with your host, Dylan and Ryan, for episode 17. Again, we got a lot in store for you this week. It's been a crazy weekend in sports, and we're ready to talk about it. So our first topic today we're going to go over is kind of an older one, but I still wanted to cover it just because I thought it was kind of interesting. We're talking about the NBA MVP rankings. A couple weeks ago, around the All-Star break, the NBA released the MVP rankings of who they thought was most likely to win MVP. And let's just say their choices were a little messed up, in my opinion. So, Ryan, the rankings that the NBA put out were they had Joel Embiid at number 1, which is good. I know you hate Philly, but Embiid is playing well this year. Jokic at 2, LeBron at 3, Dame at 4, and Luka at 5. Ryan, what do you think about that list?
First off, LeBron shouldn't be on the list at all.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
He's not putting up MVP numbers. The only reason he's on the list is because people are like, oh, wait, he hasn't won since 2013, but he's LeBron.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's also because AD has been out, and the Lakers are still the 3rd seed in the West. And they're like, oh, LeBron's carrying that team to still being a top seed without Anthony Davis. But realistically, they aren't doing that well. And honestly, LeBron's not playing up to the level he's used to. He's only averaging 25 points a game, shooting 35% from 3, only averaging 7 to 8 assists per game, which last year he was averaging like 9 or 10. And I mean, I know he's always bad at shooting free throws, but, you can't have your best player shooting 68% from the free throw line. And he's ranked ahead of Damian Lillard, who's averaging 30 points a game, shooting 45% from the field, averaging a steal, 8 assists per game. And, he's just been going off lately. And I don't understand why the NBA, I don't get why they have LeBron ranked over Damian Lillard. I don't really understand that. Embiid and Jokic, I think, respectively, are in the right places. Yeah, they've been kind of going off this year, especially Embiid. I might be a little biased there, but hey, Embiid, he's averaging 30 points a game, shooting 52% from the field, 42% from 3, which is ridiculous from a center. And then he's averaging 1.4 blocks and 1.2 steals per game. Now, I think there's a couple guys missing from this list, Ryan. You think you can name them?
If I had to guess, I'd go John Wall.
Okay.
Not actually. I think Steph Curry needs to be on there.
Yeah.
I think he's putting up incredible numbers this season.
Yeah, he really has. And, compared to his MVP season a couple years ago, he's actually not that far off. And that year he was voted, unanimous MVP. So, I don't know how he's not even in the top 5 rankings. I mean, I know he was, hurt a couple games, but that should not really impact him this much, this much for his MVP rankings. So, for his MVP season, he was averaging 30 points a game, 6.7 assists, 2 steals. Granted, he was shooting 45% from 3, which is basically godlike. This year, he's averaging 29 points, 6 assists, and he's shooting 40% from 3. So, still respectable numbers. Obviously, not as good as his unanimous MVP year because it's kind of hard to, repeat that. But I think Steph Curry should definitely be on this list. And the NBA is giving a little too much credit to LeBron. So we'll see how the MVP rankings move out from, here on out. I don't know how it's going to affect Embiid with him getting injured for 2 to 3 weeks.
I think that's going to hurt him big time. I think it's going to really drop him down.
Yeah, because I don't really know how he's going to be when he comes back. And trust me, we've heard Blackburn's opinions on Embiid all the time. But yeah, so Embiid, he's always been injury prone, so we don't know what's going to happen with him. But we'll see. Hopefully he can return to MVP form, because if he doesn't, I don't think the Sixers got a shot in the playoffs, to be honest with you. So next topic we want to talk about I guess, we were just talking about Damian Lillard a little bit, him having an amazing season, but obviously it's not really enough for the Trailblazers to get into the playoffs. They've been a consistent playoff team for so many years now, but they've never really had enough to get to the finals or really even the conference finals. Damian Lillard, again, is obviously the face of the franchise, as he's been for a while. And he has CJ McCollum by his side, but they've shown that they can't get, too far by themselves. That, they can't really overpower Curry and Clay, LeBron and AD, all those guys. So over the years, again, it seems like they haven't had enough, and they kind of need another star or really superstar with them. So, and the Trailblazers are obviously in a tough spot because they don't have a ton of assets to trade. But Ryan, what do you think the Trailblazers should do? Like,
I don't think they have any trade value to be getting like another superstar like Dame. I don't think they're going to have somebody by his side like that.
yeah,
But I do think they can make some nice pickups. I mean, I think LaMarcus Aldridge is someone they could bring back. I mean, he was obviously pretty good when he used to play for him, and he's not doing great right now. But
yeah,
you put him back in a system he knows. It's a comfortable system.
right.
And I've also seen talk about them looking at Aaron Gordon. I think he would be a really nice pickup for them.
Yeah, and especially because they kind of need some offensive firepower, to be honest, because, I mean, especially with CJ McCollum hurt right now, I mean, Damian Lillard is really the only guy that can score on that offense. And with Nurkic out, Aldridge would be a great addition to that team. So I could see any of those guys, but, like, it's not like the Trailblazers have the worst supporting cast either, They got guys like Enes Kanter, Carmelo, Gary Trent Jr., all those guys have been solid players for them. But, they need a little more than just a couple role players and, Damian Lillard. It seems crazy to say that because normally you would think that would be enough. But, in today's NBA, it's really not. So they just need guys who can, really create shots and, like I said before, be able to rely on them to score. And I think LaMarcus Aldridge can be one of those guys. I mean, defensively, he's not the greatest, as we've seen. He's kind of older now. But, he still puts up solid numbers. And, with kind of Nurkic playing good defense, and I think that will kind of, really help the team chemistry there. But, Ryan, to be honest, I just think they need, like, a really good established small forward. And I think the least they could do is go after Kelly Oubre on the Warriors. I don't think, obviously the Warriors are doing decent this year. No discredit to Steph Curry or anything. But, he doesn't really seem to fit in that system that well. And honestly, when Clay comes back, I don't know how the fuck they're gonna fit in Curry, Clay, Wiggins, Oubre, and because Draymond shouldn't be a center. I mean, he's a good player. Yeah. He's a good defensive player, but he's not a center. He's just too small. In today's NBA, he shouldn't be playing center. So they need Wiseman or Looney in that spot. And I feel like Oubre is kind of – you're almost overpaying him to come off the bench. So I think they're going to get rid of him anyway. So I think Oubre could be a solid option. Obviously, he's not – I wouldn't even consider him really a star. He's just a good player to have. So just kind of some thoughts for the Trailblazers. They need to do something to get into contention with the West. So I don't think they'll do anything, as they normally don't do anything. But we'll see what kind of magic Damian Lillard can create in the playoffs. He usually tends to get at least one game-winning, game series clinching shot. So we'll see what he can do, in the playoffs this year. But next we got still staying, with the NBA. I'm going to talk about Blake Griffin going to the Nets. The Pistons recently bought out his contract, making Blake Griffin a free agent. And, of course, with the super team era, he signs with the Nets. It feels like no surprise. He was really struggling this year. So, the Nets didn't really sign him to a long-term deal or really much money. They're just kind of testing him out, I think, a little bit. So he's really struggling. But, Ryan, I don't know how he's going to fit into this Nets system. I mean, what do you think? How is Blake Griffin going to do on the Nets?
I think this is the revitalization he needed. I think we're going to see old Blake Griffin here. And I know most people aren't going to believe that because it seems like, I mean, the fact that he hasn't dunked in like 12 months says otherwise. But this is going to be where he gets back into his game. I think he's going to step in there. They're not using him right now because, like, I mean, he's kind of – I think the Pistons worked him too hard. I mean, he had those knee injuries, and he kind of came right back into things, and they expected him to be able to, walk on air again.
Right.
And it's just not going to work like that. I think the Nets are actually doing smart choices and letting him build back into it.
Yeah.
He's going to come back in and just dominate.
I mean, I don't know. He's going to be – it's so tough to think because, the Nets have 3 great ISO scorers, obviously, in Kyrie, Harden, and KD. And I don't know how Blake Griffin – is going to really fit in with them. I feel like he's just going to be like a pick and roll guy, maybe get some rebounds here and there, but Blake Griffin, he can't shoot threes. He can't really jump anymore.
That's what he wants you to think. That's what the Piston Blake Griffin wanted you to think.
So are you saying that Blake Griffin
I think he tanked his career to get out of there. He tanked his career
I mean, I don't totally blame him. I mean, the Pistons are like complete garbage, and they have almost no future when you look at that team. So I guess I wouldn't totally blame Blake Griffin for tanking. But granted, he is older. He has lost his, kind of hops and his athleticism. So that was kind of his whole game in a way. And, I think this is the kind of player Russell Westbrook is going to turn into. And I know I hate to say that because I loved watching Russell Westbrook. I still love watching him play. But Blake just doesn't have the athleticism anymore. And I don't think the Nets really have that high of expectations for him, to be honest. I think he's just going to be a pick and roll guy. I don't think people should be reacting as much as they are to the Nets signing Blake Griffin, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a solid player, but, he's no 4th star that's going to, take down – like this is – what I mean? This signing isn't going to make the Nets, take down the Lakers, I don't think. Because Blake Griffin, he's going to have to cover Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis is going to have to get covered by Blake Griffin.
Anthony Davis – you know how many times Anthony Davis is going to dunk over Blake Griffin? You know how many times he's going to block Blake Griffin? That's crazy me saying this after the years, seeing him on the Clippers, but he's just not it anymore. He doesn't have it anymore. I'm sorry to say, Blake Griffin, but you don't got it anymore. So we'll see how he fits in there. I don't really have too high of expectations for him. But we'll see. But going into the football world now, Bill Belichick, for sure, is not slamming any of his phones because he's been on them like crazy lately. Him and the Patriots have signed 9 free agents, including re-signing Cam Newton and bringing in key offensive weapons like Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Kendrick Bourne, and of course our favorite player, Nelson Aguilar. Ryan, with all these signings that the Patriots are doing, what are Cam Newton's expectations with this new offense?
I think obviously there was a big issue with Cam not having many weapons last year. Jacoby Myers was their top receiver. I mean, obviously
right.
There's nothing going on there.
Yeah.
So to have a couple, obviously these aren't like huge name guys. These are some solid tight ends for sure. But from receiver standpoint, they didn't pick up any all-stars. But I think this is going to give him more than just one weapon. I think it's going to give him a good amount of weapons. And obviously we've seen the Patriots like to have some strong tight ends with Gronk. So that's going to be something to watch out for.
Yeah.
Plus, LeBron's coming in.
Wait, hold on. I mean, LeBron was just ranked 3rd in the MVP rankings. Why would he go to the Patriots?
Well, you see, this is all part of the rebuild for Bill Belichick.
Okay.
That's why LeBron just is now a part owner of the Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox.
Wait, he's a part owner of the Red Sox now?
He is indeed.
Why would he buy into the Red Sox? That makes no sense to me.
Because they're in Boston. He's going to make money while he's playing in the NFL. He also tweeted about Bill Belichick.
But he could invest in any team. Why would he not invest in, I don't know, the Rams or maybe the Browns? I mean, actually, the Browns I feel like they have a kind of high value right now, so maybe it's not the best time to invest in the Browns, but
This is the Belichick super team. LeBron's coming into play.
I mean, I'm sure Cam Newton would welcome being LeBron being a weapon on that team because, I know people don't forget, but he was like one of the best receivers in the
Yeah,
nation in high school.
they compared
So,
him to Randy Moss. This is
wow.
gonna be the next Brady Randy
Um,
Moss. Newton to LeBron. It's happening.
Breaking here on Next on Deck, the Patriots are bringing in a new era of Tom Brady and Randy Moss, but instead it's with Cam Newton and LeBron James.
It's terrifying.
That is really terrifying. And the Steelers lost Mike Hilton. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, the Bengals the Bengals too. The Bengals signed him. So we don't have Mike Hilton to cover LeBron James anymore. So I guess we're gonna have to put Mika on him. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know. The Patriots. I think I would have. Granted, I think it was a great idea. They needed to sign offensive weapons because, like you said, you can't really have a winning team with Jacoby Myers being your best receiver. As much as I love Jacoby Myers, because Ryan, if you remember, he did have like 30 fantasy points the one week against the Jets, and I did start him that week, so I love him there. But they really needed some weapons there, and they went out and got some guys. But I mean, as much as we love Nelson Aguilar, I think he needed more weapons than that. And I think one of those weapons he could have gotten was Corey Davis, who signed with the Jets for almost the same amount of money annually that Nelson Aguilar did. Why didn't the Patriots just go after Corey Davis?
Yeah, I agree. That was a missed opportunity.
Granted to the Jets for picking up on that opportunity, for actually making a good move for once. Because I think Corey Davis is an underrated receiver. I don't know how he's going to do without A.J. Brown, kind of being next to him. Because it definitely helped with A.J. Brown being there. I feel like Corey Davis kind of broke out a little bit. But, hey, you never know. I mean, maybe the Jets get another, really high pick and, get another receiver to help them out. But, I think – and if any team's going to sign two tight ends, it's going to be the Patriots. So getting Hunter Henry and Juanu Smith, I guess, kind of makes up for not having that top receiver. Cam Newton just kind of has more, just all around weapons. And Ryan, if you remember when he went to the Super Bowl, he didn't really have that many weapons, to be honest. I mean, he had Greg Olsen, who is again a solid tight end. And I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure Kelvin Benjamin was out that year. So I don't think he even had really a number one receiver. So Cam, I know, and obviously, Cam's not MVP Cam anymore. Hate to say it. But he's still Cam Newton. He still can run. He still has the strength with his arm. So I believe in Cam this year, and I think the Bills have a little bit to worry about. I think the Patriots can make a run for this division, to be honest, especially with Bill Belichick being at the helm. And, Cam Newton finally has an off season to prepare, with the Patriots, and he already has a year under the belt. So, expect the Patriots to be back in it for the playoffs. I think that's my expectations for them is wild card spot, maybe even a first round win. I think that's where they're going to go. But Ryan, where do you see them going? Do you see them making the playoffs? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're making a lot of good moves, but I just don't think this is going to be the year. I think they're going to be better than last year, but I don't think they'll make the play. I think they'll be right on the cusp. It's going to be real close, I think.
Yeah. Well, so what do you think they're going to do? After this, do you think? I think what they plan to do is probably draft a guy like Mac Jones or probably quarterback in the first round. But, if Mac Jones isn't there, I don't know what the Patriots are going to do. But I think the Patriots probably are going to draft a quarterback in the first round, have Cam be the starter. Maybe Cam loses the starting job. I mean, if they're in a playoff position, though, I don't really see him losing the starting job. So we'll see what Cam and the Patriots can do. I have high expectations for them this year. But, we'll see. Cam can always be, kind of streaky. But so next up, a topic we really don't talk that much about, college basketball. Obviously, March Madness is on Thursday, and I know Blackburn has been very excited for March Madness to start up, because he missed it last year. I should say, I keep referencing Blackburn. So for those of you who don't go to Grove City College, and those of you who don't know, we have a Jew friend named Blackburn, and he can be like a 10-year-old sometimes. Is that kind of?
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan, you know him better than me. You know, kind of explain him to the audience.
Sometimes you think that maybe he has something mentally challenged in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
I get concerned if I don't let him finish sentences sometimes because I worry he's gonna freak out.
Yeah.
But he's very, very into basketball, and that's all
Mhm.
that matters to him.
Right. And he's very bright kid, very bright, but his how do I say, his social skills or the things he says, you would think he had got like 1,000 on the SATs instead of 1,500. So he likes to say a lot of dumb stuff. One of them was Chris Paul being a top 5 point guard in the NBA right now, but obviously we're not going to go over that. But again, we're all really excited for March Madness. That it wasn't canceled this year. So we're all really excited to hopefully I can make some money off you guys and watch some cool Cinderella stories. Obviously I feel like Gonzaga is the clear favorite here. They're undefeated. They kind of dominated all year. They were down, I believe, 10 or 20 at halftime against BYU, and they still came back and won by like 10. So it seems like there's nothing that can stop this team but themselves. But I mean, it's March Madness. The favorite usually doesn't win, to be honest. So Ryan, who do you see, kind of maybe taking Gonzaga off the top?
I really like Baylor this year. I think they're a really solid team. I think they have a good chance. Baylor and Michigan are my top two teams that would take Gonzaga out. I mean, Gonzaga, despite them being obviously favorites, I think the only other team to ever win undefeated and March Madness was Illinois, and it was like a long time ago. It's not, it doesn't really happen.
Right.
So statistically speaking, Gonzaga shouldn't win, but they should win.
Right.
So it's going to be tough. I think they're a really good team. They're probably going to do really well, but Baylor and Michigan are my other top two.
Yeah, I'm, both good choices. Michigan's got a great defense, and Butler Baylor is not usually. I mean, this is the first time they're a number one seed, and with Gerard Butler at the helm, Baylor does look pretty good. So, those are obviously two teams that I think can take them down. But I think my top pick, honestly, is Alabama. You don't really think of them as a basketball school usually, but Alabama's second seed in their part of the bracket this year, and they've really accelerated offensively and defensively. They got one of the best defenses in college. I know they almost it was a tight game against LSU, but Terrence Walford just played out of his mind and scored like 35 points. So I don't see that happening every game. So Alabama, they just have a stellar defense. They have great shooting, and they just have a great all-around team. And I think they're a team that could knock off Gonzaga. But, we'll see. I know, I'm really excited to watch these games. Hopefully make a little bit of money. We'll see. But that's all we got for the show today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Drop who you think is going to win March Madness this year. We'll probably see a lot of Gonzaga comments, but we'll see. But thank you for tuning in to Next on Deck this week, and we'll see you next week.